Welcome to Cyber Savvy, the podcast that empowers you with the knowledge to navigate the digital world securely. Whether you are a tech enthusiast, a parent concerned about your child's online safety, or a business owner safeguarding sensitive data, Cyber Savvy has got you covered. Let's dive in and stay one step ahead in the world of cybersecurity. Stay tuned for valuable tips and actionable advice on every episode of Cyber Savvy. Here is your host, GK.
Hello and welcome, I'm Giri Prashant. I'll be your host for this episode of Cyber Savvy. In our first episode, we are tackling the fundamental question, why should cybersecurity matter to you as a business, small business, MSME, how much ever smaller you are, this is for me. Let's dive in. Whether you're a parent concerned about your child's online safety, or a school promoting digital literacy among students, or a business trying to defend yourself against the threats online, everyone with an internet connection should have good understanding of the risks and also ways to mitigate it. Organizations often assume these threats are more likely to target larger enterprises, but the reality is quite the opposite. Because of this perceived weakness in defense when it comes to small businesses and normal people, everyday people who don't invest as much or think as much about the risks online. These breaches need not be a guy in a hoodie sitting there trying to hack into your bank account. Let's explain this better with a use case. We were working with a hospitality client who was trying to move their website services from one vendor to another. This new vendor seemed to have raised a request to transfer the client's Google My Business page to them from the existing provider. The request came through to the existing provider, but he was not informed about it, so he just assumed the new vendor would have discussed it with the client and checked with the client and made sure it's okay for them to transfer the ownership of Google My Page profile to the new vendor. When the new vendor took control of the page, a few days later, the client realized the normal working hours have been changed for the store. It was shown as such, the store was closed in the peak evening hours where most of their business is actually happening. After a few weeks of figuring out, trying to see where the problem is, they reached out to Google. And between the two vendors and Google asking them all the question to validate they are the rightful owner of the business, it took more than 2 to 3 weeks to finally get control back for the page. By the time the damage was already done, it was later found out it was one of their disgruntled ex-employee who got control of the page and left the job, and he just inadvertently changed some details, including the hours on the page. Meanwhile, the client already lost 50% of their revenue for the month, and along with slowing demand after COVID time, the business had no choice but to eventually shut down 2 months later. Small businesses constantly fight to survive. They cut costs wherever possible. But cybersecurity is not one of such things to cut cost on. Rather, see it like insurance. See it like a hedging against the disastrous consequences of doing business online. Throughout this series, we'll explore essential topics such as ransomware, malware, phishing, social engineering, data privacy, and much more. We'll discuss everything in detail and keep the language simple and informative so that everyone can understand it. But it's not just about doom and gloom. We'll also discuss in detail about emerging technologies like AI, how they are going to change the cyber landscape in coming years. While we are at it, let's quickly talk about the format. In every episode, we'll pick a core topic of interest and get bit deeper to explain the concepts. And where possible, we'll bring in industry relevant guests who can give their personal experiences and much more information about the topic. There will be Q&A that users like you can send to us, and we will get these experts to answer those for you as well. We'll follow up with any announcements or listener questions on anything cybersecurity in each episode. Get ready to become cyber savvy. Subscribe now and stay tuned for our next episode where we'll dive deep into the cyber threat landscape in India. Thank you for joining us today. Together, let's make safer digital future for us all. Ciao.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of Cyber Savvy. We hope you found our discussion insightful and valuable. Stay one step ahead in the cyber world by subscribing to our podcast and never miss an update. Don't forget to share this show with your friends, family, and colleagues so we can collectively build a safer digital community. If you have any cybersecurity topic you'd like us to cover or have a question, feel free to reach out to us on hello@getsecure360.com. Until next time, stay cyber savvy and stay safe.